Hey, gun people, preppers, whatever. I'm going to do talk about a little bit about auto theft and things that I talk about some things sometime when I'm doing my, be quiet you guys, when I'm doing my auto theft. And one of the things, when you pull up next to a car, if you're on the passenger side of the car and you look in, you can see if there's keys in the car or not. And if there's keys in the car, we call that a clue that it's probably not stolen, or they could have what's called a shave key. And in some of the older cars, they would file down the key so it would fit almost any key. A lot of your Hondas used to be stolen. So the other thing that people look for when you're, and the reason why I'm doing this video is I was spray cleaning my engine here a little bit. This is an 05 Dodge. So I spray off my engine. A lot of people say you're not supposed to start water in your engine, but I've been spraying mine off since I owned it, and it's still running, and there ain't nothing wrong with it. But anyway, this right here, the wall that divides your engine compartment to the front is called a firewall. So if your engine catches fire, fire's not supposed to go through to the car. Not supposed to is the key there. A lot of your Hondas, Japanese cars, and some American cars, they will put what's called the VIN number on a car, vehicle identification number, VIN, on this firewall. And the reason why they put that there is so there's an alternative. Now most people know the VIN is right here on a car. And I don't know if you can see that because I can't see it. There it is, that little VIN plate there. That's called the VIN plate, and it's usually right here on the windshield, or sometimes it's along this part of the windshield. But so if you're buying a used car, you're looking at a car, you're looking at somebody showing you a car, and you think it might be stolen, the VIN on the firewall, all the VINs should be the same. Now this number on this engine here, some manufacturers will number the engine with the car. So the engine will be with the car, but what normally happens is you get a whole bunch of engines sent to a place and then they're put in different cars, so they're not necessarily matched with the car itself. So your higher priced cars, your VIN number and your engine number are going to match. The last few digits or last 6 digits will match your car and engine. So if your car's ever stolen, they take the engine out, you'll know. The other thing that they do for auto theft, it's kind of windy out here, so you have to bear with me. I'm trying to stay out of the wind here. Is there's usually a little plate right here where your VIN number's at. And your VIN number is your VIN, V-I-N, vehicle identification number. And those digits, if you go online, you research VIN number and what it means, it'll probably tell you what each number means. Some of them will be identified as the color of the car, so if the car's been painted, the VIN number will maybe appear that it doesn't match. This sticker is not what's known as a NHTSA sticker, because what they're doing on high theft cars is they're putting what's called NHTSA, N-I-T-S, National Highway Safety something, I don't know. But your NHTSA stickers is just a little bitty tag with your VIN number, and then it's placed on parts that can be parted out. Because the way auto theft works is if I have this Dodge and somebody hits my rear car here, and I don't want to go buy, you know, a new door for this, and it's going to cost me $600, I'll go to my local car thief or my local hood thug repair shop and say, hey, how much can you get me a rear door for my Dodge? And they'll say, oh, $200. And so, shit, I'll take that one. So then what they do is they talk to their thug friends and the gangs in the area, and they go, hey man, I'll give you $100 for a 2005 Dodge, and if it's gold, I'll give you, you know, $150, because then I ain't got to paint it. But if it's any color, I'll give you $100. So they're like, cool. So they cruise the neighborhood, they find a Dodge that's a 2005, and they steal the rear door, or they steal the whole car, get it to a place they can take the door off, and then they just dump the car. And a common thing for auto theft thieves also is they'll spray the interior of the car with a fire extinguisher. And what they're trying to do, and what works pretty effectively, is a fire extinguisher with the dust and powder coats everything. So if there's any fingerprints, if I touch this wheel, and where most auto thieves lose it is they usually adjust the rear view mirror, and we usually get a thumbprint right off the mirror. Because they'll grab the mirror and they'll do this. So when we recover a stolen car, we always print the mirror, and sure enough, there's always a damn thumbprint right there. So hopefully I'm not giving away all the tricks to the car thieves, but they're too stupid to try and learn and watch videos. Maybe not. The good ones already know all this. So when we print the car, because that fingerprint is there, if I spray powder or a fire extinguisher in here and coat this whole interior car with the powder, I'm not going to be able to put dust on that fingerprint and stick it, because the way I would take this print off is you put a little fingerprint dust on there, then you put a piece of tape over it, the dust that's stuck to the oils in the fingerprint sticks to the tape, then I put the tape on a piece of paper and I get a fingerprint that way. Now hell, you know, that's the way they did it when I was doing it. Maybe now they just snap a picture and it loads it, who knows. So the NHTSA sticker is going to be on removable parts that are stolen. So on Honda's Accords, they're all NHTSA stickered. The hood's NHTSA stickered, the corner panels are NHTSA stickered, the doors, etc. Now on trucks, the rear gate sometimes is a hot item. So if they start having a lot of thefts on a rear gate, they may NHTSA sticker this. And what a NHTSA sticker is every year of every car that we know make and model, we have a list on if they're NHTSA stickered. So if you have a 2005 Dodge and it's supposed to be NHTSA stickered, and I go to a shop, in auto theft we used to do random inspections of these auto parts repair shops that we thought were crooked or whatever. So we would go check their inventory, and if we found a door that was there that was supposed to have a NHTSA sticker and it was removed, we could seize that door, and they were in possession of stolen property, because they're not supposed to have any part that is required to be NHTSA stickered. Now of course everybody thought this was a great idea and it's wonderful and great, but anytime you get government involved, it raises the price of a car. Now you have to have a tracking system, you have to have more documentation, you have to print these stickers, they have to be tamper-proof, you have to be legislation, so you got to pay off some politician. So anytime the government gets involved, it's going to raise the price. So cars that are NHTSA stickers end up costing more because you're paying for that extra security option. So, and again, when we would get a stolen car where the VIN number was on the firewall, we would see it was cut out. So when we open a hood and there was a hole in the firewall, we'd call that a clue that somebody has removed this VIN for a reason. Now, what they do is what's called a VIN switch vehicle, is if I just want to sell you a car, I will just switch this VIN, and it's supposed to be tamper-proof, riveted, can't get to it, hard to get to it, can't replace it without bending it, blah. Well, they figured out a way. And so they'll switch this VIN number, but somebody that knows will check the secondary VIN either in the door, and if the one on the door is removed, that's a clue, or they'll check the one on the firewall. If that's cut out, we call that a clue. And then that's how they end up hiding and concealing these vehicles. So, okay, somebody's cracking on my little drawing there. They didn't put a diagram of my, it's supposed to be up here on the hood, but it wasn't there, of my fan belt. So when you take your fan belt off, if you don't know how to put it on, you're kind of screwed. So that's my black marker fan belt diagram there. Art by the Gun Channel. So we're back to NHTSA stickers and cars and stolen. So if you're looking at cars or seeing cars that might be stolen, the other clue that used to get people is when people steal license plates, they steal the front license plate. This is my front license plate that fell off. They steal the front plate and they put it on the rear. Now, in some states, you have the registration on the plate itself. So you can tell if it's a front or rear plate. But that's no problem, because they'll just steal the tag off a rear plate and put it on a front plate. So since the plates are identical, it doesn't really say front plate or rear plate, so how are you supposed to know? Well, when you're working auto theft, you can tell, and this one isn't really bad because it fell off, this has bug splatters on it. Well, unless I'm going in reverse in 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, I shouldn't have bug splatters on my rear license plate. You notice this plate is dirty, but there's no bugs that are smashed in it, because I'm not going 60 miles an hour in reverse. So if you see a rear plate with bug splatters, and this is for you cops out there who want to look for auto theft, most people steal front plates and they don't clean them. They just stick it on the rear plate. So anytime you see a rear plate with smashed bugs on it, we call that a clue. And then another reason they always steal the front plate of a car is most people don't check their front plate. They'll see their rear plate because they go in the trunk, but you don't go in your hood a whole bunch, so you're not going to notice your front plate missing for a few days. That'll give the crook more days to do it. So if I steal a car and I'm going to be driving this car and it's a Honda, if I'm smart, I'll go to the airport in long-term parking, I'll find a Honda that kind of matches this car, and I'll steal their front plate and I'll put it on my car. I may even steal their rear plate because it's got the expiration. And then that way, if a cop runs it, he'll see the car, it's got a plate, and it matches. It comes back to an 89 Ford or Dodge or Honda, four-door or whatever. Then I know, oh, you know what, it matches the plate, it's probably not stolen. I'll move on. And if I steal it from like long-term parking, then I know I have several days to use that car. Or if I go to a place where they store vehicles, you know, RVs, if I steal vehicles, now normally they're different plated, but if you want to steal an RV plate, you know, everybody parks their RV for years at a time, so you could ride around that plate for a long time. And a cop wouldn't know unless he ran your plate, then he checked the registration, and then he checked it against your driver's license. So when cops stop you and say, can I see your vehicle registration, proof of insurance, and driver's license, kind of like the Nazis did when they stop you, say, show me your papers. So when the cops do that, they should be questioning, are you the same as the RO, or the address is the same? If your driver's license address is in a different state, different county, or in an area that I know to be a shithole, and then this vehicle is registered to an area I know that's a really nice area, we call that a clue. So those are different things, and again, I can't tell you the number of times I've driven my cars and I've seen a screwdriver in that where the key's supposed to be, or I've seen just a bashed out, torn up column, and you know what? It's like, hey, this car's probably stolen. Now sometimes it's a recovered stolen. I'll run the plate, it comes back clear. I say, look, I'm stopping it for attempted stolen. Start me a cover unit, and I'll be making contact. You know, white male, black male, whatever the guy is, and I'll give his description and say I'm going to do a stop on him. I think the car might be stolen. It's got a ripped out column. So then dispatcher, if they're doing their job, should be able to pull up the vehicle history and say, hey, just for the record, this vehicle was stolen on this date and it was recovered on this date. So now I kind of know it's probably back in the right person. And then if I really want to go a step further and I don't want to stop and I just want to be lazy but do more verification, I'll say, you know what? Do a reverse on the driver's a female, and she looks about 30 years old. So I go, do a reverse on the RO at 30 years old and see if you get a driver's license. And then it'll come back to driver's license. She'll give me the description matches the driver, and then I don't even have to stop it if I don't want to. But those are just little things when if you're a cop and you're working auto theft. When we're working auto theft, those are the things we look for. We look for, and of course, you know, we're always looking for consciousness of guilt. When you look over at somebody driving and they're staring straight ahead and they won't look at you, or they're looking at you waving, being too damn friendly, or they look down, they've got that just consciousness of guilt in their face and actions, and that's a legal term that they use in court when we're explaining with somebody. It can't be your only probable cause and your only PC, but it can be part of it. Because everything in law enforcement and government, and when we do stops and things on this, it's all about totality of the circumstances. It's never about I got a lot of people complaining because I said you could shoot people in the back, and everybody's like, you can't shoot a fleeing felon. It's against the law. I didn't say you could shoot a fleeing felon. You can shoot a fleeing violent felon. I'm trying to get out of the wind here, and wherever I go, the damn wind's hitting, so I don't have to hear the complaints about the wind. But you can shoot a fleeing violent felon if you can justify that he's a threat. So if somebody walks up to your partner, shoots him in the head, drops the gun, and say, I'm sorry, I give up, and runs off, it would be unreasonable for you not to shoot that person. That person's already demonstrated he's a violent threat and he could hurt and kill somebody. If he just shot a cop, he's going to shoot a citizen. He's not only a danger to the public, he's a danger to other cops. So you could justify shooting that person in the back. Now I got some lawyer who's on there saying, well, I'm a U.S. attorney and you can't shoot somebody just because they're a felon. I know that. I'm going to do one on case law, Tennessee versus Garner, and some other cases where cops get their use of force. And if you want to read the cases, sometimes they're kind of interesting to see how the judges interpret the actions of the cops. And the more you read those, the more you understand the law and why the law works the way it is. So anyway, off track here. Hopefully that helps on a little bit of auto theft or vehicle theft. If you're out there working at what to look for, and you know, we'll end that there. Oh, another thing we look for is if a car is parked, or even if it's driving, and you see papers and stuff everywhere and the glove box is open, like it's been rummaged through, because when people steal cars, they open the glove box and they look for things to steal. So the car will look like it's just like a tornado's been going through it. So if you see a car parked and the glove box is wide open and it looks empty and there's papers and everything like somebody was rummaging through it and looking for something, that car was probably either burglarized or it was stolen, or it has somebody that spilt their coffee or was panicking in their glove box. But again, it's not the one thing. Everything I talk about, people want to try and challenge me on the one thing. It's never the one thing. It's the totality of circumstances, and it's would a reasonable person with the same training and experience do what I did. So a cop who hasn't worked auto theft for several years, hasn't recovered hundreds of stolen vehicles, cannot use his experience and training to justify things that he can do. Now, watching this video could be your justification, because we use that in warrants all the time. I've talked to other senior experienced officers. You put this right now, this is a standard line in my search warrant. Talking to other seasoned investigators with more experience than me in the area of auto theft, in the area of burglary, whatever the search warrant is for, they have told me that the common scheme and design of burglars are this and that. So if you were writing a search warrant, you could say you watched a training video from a seasoned veteran auto theft officer who told me that it's routine and normal for people to steal front license plates and put them on the rear. So when I saw the rear license plates and I saw smashed bugs on it, to me, taking from that other officer's experience and what I've learned in my training, that it wasn't reasonable for a car to have smashed bugs on the rear license plate. Therefore, I thought the vehicle might have been stolen, and I continued my investigation and made a stop, constable, etc. So that's how you justify and articulate things. It's always about what you learn, what your experience, etc. That's why I tell people who watch this channel about when you're using force and you're shooting somebody, every bit of training and video that you use. Now, if you're watching some Yahoo on YouTube that has no experience and no training, and you're saying, well, I watched a YouTube and this guy who was chewing skull spit some skull out and said I could shoot him, and that's why I shot him, because, his training. That ain't going to cut it. But if you say you watched my video and you've seen my credentials and you had reason to believe that I was correct, and I'm just one of your sources, I'm not your only source, I'm one of your sources that, hey, this is a seasoned veteran law enforcement officer, he's an FBI certified trainer, he's a state of California trainer, he's credentialed, he's got a bachelor's degree, he's got a criminal justice degree, he's done training, he's talked about his experience, he's made several videotapes, he used to teach at the academy, blah, 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 and you put all that in there. Now it's reasonable and the court would accept that type of training versus you saying, hey, some dude on YouTube said I could shoot somebody in the back, so that's why I shot him in the back. Remember, totality of circumstances and your training and experience. And would a reasonable person with the same training experience, would they have done the same thing? All right, well, then that there, hope that helps. Hopefully I wasn't jumping around too much, walking around, shining on this vehicle.